Hi guys, this video's for DoNotPushHere. We've been talking about air engines. This is the engine in my Airhogs accelerator plane. Just see if I can get something in there to point at the various bits. Oh, there we are. Right, at the back is the air reservoir, the plastic bottle. There's a pipe coming from that, which is this pipe here, that goes to the top of the cylinder. Now, the motor's actually upside down, so the top of the cylinder's at the bottom of this picture. When the piston goes up and down, I'll just move the propeller to show that, that's the piston going up and down. When it gets to the top of its stroke, which is the bottom of the picture here, it opens a valve and allows the air to come in from that pipe into the cylinder. That pushes the piston down, which in this picture is going up. When it gets to the bottom of its stroke, which is the top of the picture, the air can escape because there's a hole in the cylinder there with the exhaust hole. So the air pressure escapes. The flywheel effect of the propeller pushes the piston back up again, where it opens the valve, the air comes in, pushes it down again. So it's a very simple process. And what we're going to look at next is the engine in one of my Lannard air racers, which uses the same principle, but it has the valve in a different place. The thing we were talking about, myself and DoNotPushHere, was the fact that these Airhogs engines have got the valve at the top of the cylinder. Right. Before we move on, I've just turned the plane upside down so the piston's the right way up to discuss it, and we're looking from the other side so we can see the piston going up. Got to move the propeller. See if we can refocus again. Come on, focus. I think we're focused. Right, the piston is the sort of black line there, but on top of it there's a bit of a point that actually moves the valve that's at the very top of the picture. I don't think we can see the valve very clearly. I'll try moving the light a bit. But there is a valve at the top there, and as the piston goes up it's opening that valve, or at least when it's at the top it opens that valve, and that's what pushes the piston back down again. Right, let's have a look at the Lannard. Right, slightly more complicated here. This is the air tank. Pipe comes from the air tank down to here, which is the valve mechanism, and then from the valve mechanism a pipe comes to the top of the cylinder, and then the piston is in the cylinder there. Let's see if I can turn the wheel. Now, without any air pressure in there, the piston's not moving. Piston's actually sitting at the top of its stroke there. But what would happen is there's a cam on the drive shaft here. As the cam goes round, it pushes the valve, which allows the air to go through the valve from the air tank to the cylinder. That air pushes the piston down in that direction. That turns the crankshaft. And turning the crankshaft turns the cam. The cam opens the valve, lets more air through. So it's slightly more complicated. Than the other engine that I just showed you. This is another Lannard air jammer. Now this one seems to have the same engine that we were talking about with the air hogs. We've got the cylinder, sorry, the air reservoir, the blue thing here. The air comes out of the air reservoir into a valve that's there. That's the piston, that little black thing that's moving there, and at the top of its stroke it opens the valve, the same as the air hogs. So that's that one, but then we've got these ones, and we can't see in them at all because they're opaque coloured plastic. You see, all of this is just to make it look interesting, but you can't really see inside to see how it's actually working. In one of my other videos I've taken one of these apart, so I'll insert a bit from that video here. There's not much to take apart. There's 3 screws on the back, so we can have a look at the axle. And there's 4 screws on the bottom, so we can take the main body off the chassis. So in the back, that's the piston in there and the crankshaft. In there's a gear and another gear on the back axle to link the crankshaft to the back axle. In the middle there, you might be able to see there's a plastic, I was going to say tube, but that's the bit that the piston is in. So that's the actual air engine. Right, this is another one. This is my Jasmine air jammer. This is the, what I would have called the simple one, although it's probably more complicated. This is the one that we've got a flywheel, which is also a cam, and as that turns round it pushes a valve that's just about where I'm pointing there. The air reservoir is in the car here, and when that valve is opened it lets air out of the reservoir up this pipe here to the top of the cylinder. So the air then pushes the piston down. You can see the piston, that's that red thing going up and down there. So the piston comes down. When at the bottom of its stroke the air comes out. There's actually a hole just there. So top of its stroke, air comes in the top, pushes the piston down. Bottom of its stroke, the air comes out. Piston going up and down is turning the flywheel or cam, and it's the cam that's actually opening the valve, the air valve. Finally, we've got this motor engine from my air engine racer kit. So we've got a big plastic bottle for the air reservoir. Pipe comes out of that, goes to the top of the cylinder where there's a valve. So as the propeller goes round, or in fact let's be more specific, at the top of the stroke the piston is actually pushing the valve open, allowing the air in. That pushes the piston down, which pushes the propeller round. The flywheel effect of the propeller pushes the piston back up again, which opens the valve again, pushes the piston down, and so on. Just in case you're wondering where the air goes, as the piston comes down, there's actually a hole in the cylinder just there and there, and that's where the air comes out. So piston goes up, opens the valve, piston comes down, air comes out. Piston goes up, opens the valve, so the pressurised air comes in. Piston goes down, air escapes through the holes, exhaust holes. You can actually see the holes there. And we can see the valve opening there. There we go.